Hey everyone, this is Jules. Just want to share with you guys a project that I made for my niece Alyssa. I recorded myself as I was creating it, and it was actually going to be completely different. I wasn't even going to use this paper collection, but it was not going the way I had thought about it in my head, and I changed it 4 different times. This was supposed to be using some of my mind's eye paper, and looking back at it now, it was not going to be as pretty as it is now. She's a gorgeous girl, and I wanted to give her something that was just very pretty and girly like she is. So I decided to go with Pink Paislee's Soiree paper collection, which, oh my gosh, is so totally not my colors and stuff. And I had put off on even buying the paper for the longest time. Finally picked it up at my craft warehouse. I'm gonna just go ahead and flip over to the actual video as I'm creating it. But if you have any questions, please let me know. I will try and have a list of products and stuff over on my blog, along with detailed pictures and close-ups and stuff. So the link of that post will be down below the video here over on YouTube. And Alyssa, happy birthday, sweetie. I miss you so much, and I hope your leg is getting better, and I hope to see you guys soon. I miss you guys so much. And Jojo had a birthday right after Alyssa, so Jojo, happy birthday. I love you guys. I'll see you guys later. So I'm starting with a 12 by 12 blank canvas and some vintage dress pattern paper, cutting them up in strips and getting a lot of the words and circles and shapes and things off of it. So I'm using Mod Podge, and I'm just tacking all this stuff down to cover the entire canvas. Now mind you, I'm not really sure what I'm going to be doing, so I end up covering a lot of this, but it gave great texture onto the canvas when I was finally done, and I really liked it. So I just took it down along the edges and then heat set it. And here's the letter A that I found, this compressed wood. And I'm just covering it with white paint from Appleberry. And I don't really know what I'm going to do with it quite yet, but I wanted to give it a complete coverage of some paint, so white was right now the choice. And here I covered the canvas here with the vanilla colored paint, and love the texture on there. So here's the 3 paper choices that I grabbed from the collection called Soiree by Pink Paislee. Not sure what I'm going to do with it quite yet, but those are the papers that I want to play with for now. So I'm grabbing this glossy raspberry color by Apple Barrel, and I'm going to go ahead and just do the edges. I was thinking of exposing a lot more of the canvas at first, but because I wasn't sure how I was going to lay the paper down, I ended up just covering a little bit of the edges, going in about 1 inch to 2 on the surface part. You can see a little bit of the texture of the tissue underneath it. I love that. I love the way that it looks. So I'm just going to heat set that. And I'm using my corner chomper at a 1/2 inch for all 4 corners. And you're going to use my paper distresser for the edges to give a distressed look. Take it all the way around. Now the Soiree paper collection is very much a celebration of party and things. And since Alyssa turned 17, this was the perfect paper to use at the end. So I'm using the floral one here as the base. And that's what's going to sit on the surface of the canvas, and I decided to cover the A with the polka dotted pink. Fun pink. So I turn with the top of the A down onto the back side of the paper, and then I just trace it out. And when I cut it out just on the outside of the lines so that it's a little bit bigger than the actual A. That way I'll know for sure that I'll have complete coverage of my letter. Because I'm just going to do the very top. I don't want to have any bare spots or cut too much of it off and then, you know, it looks crooked on an edge or something. So you'll be able to see here when I flip it over that there's a nice edge to the entire A. So I'm using my Scotch quick dry adhesive glue, and I glue this down in sections only because the glue really does dry really fast. So I did it in like 3 different sections, using my finger to kind of spread it out. Because if you have too much of the glue, sometimes it does leave air bubbles, and or it bubbles just by itself because it's wet. So make sure you press it out or spread it out. So I didn't show it, but I did get my scissors and cut the excess paper off, and then I took my emery board to shave it all alongside the edges and in the inside. I have a precision toolkit by Basic Gray that I found on ellenhudson.com, and it's that little stick to file really tight corners, and I love how it files. So that's something that you guys can look for if you're needing something more detailed. So I'm just sponging on some white paint. This is not off-white or anything, it's just plain white paint by Apple Barrel, just for the edges to kind of frame the A, kind of give it a little bit more of a dimensional look maybe, make it stand out a little bit. And heat set that. I don't want to wait. I'm working on this project and I want to get it done, so I heat dry a lot of stuff. So I take this green, and I originally had punched an edge, a decorative edge on it, and I didn't like it, so I cut it off, and it came to be like an 11 by 11 piece of paper, maybe less than, or smaller than that, like 9.5 or 10 or something. So it's going to sit behind the A, on top of the floral designer paper that'll sit on top of the surface of the canvas. So to break it up a little bit, I want to use a white paper doily. I'm just gonna set it down just to kind of see what it looks like. So I like it so far. So what I did is I used my Spellbinders dies that I found at Craft Warehouse, and cut out some pennant strips, and using some scissors dies that I have of an alphabet. I can't remember the name of the alphabet, but I cut out the Lissa, and using that to spell out the rest of her name on these little pennants. So it looks fine to me there. I really like how they look. So as I'm thinking about what, my next step is, I'm thinking, I wanted to add some more texture to the A, so I grabbed some black and white baker's twine and wrapped it around 4 times, and tied a cute little bow on it, and just kind of gave it some texture, so some added texture and dimension to the A, so I liked it. And baker's twine, it's just such an in thing right now. A lot of people are using it on tons of projects, so it's just fun to play with. So here I'm using my Zig two-way pen, glue pen, and because the little letters are so tiny, I'm using my tweezers to put them down on these pennants. And I folded it down just enough so that it doesn't show through the actual chevron shape. One of the reasons why I did fold it was because I wanted to string the baker's twine inside of it, so I wanted to create something to hold it in. So I'm just going to seal every single one and arrange it and see how I want it on the canvas piece. So Craft Warehouse is having a craft or a Canvas Mania kind of an event, and it ends today, February 4th. So one of the reasons why I used the canvas was in honor of that, since I wasn't able to go to a canvas, one of the Canvas Mania workshop things they were having at the store. So and I use canvases a lot to alter. Loved playing with canvas. So here I want to do my paint splashes. So I just wet my little sponge and get the consistency of the paint that I want. Kind of let it sit there to soak up the paint, so I can add my little splashes on there. I love doing this. And I was kind of scared to do it because I didn't want to mess up, but it's supposed to look like it's spilled on it, so that was fine. As I lifted it to take out the paper, it dribbled, and I was like, oh, that looks even better. So I loved it. So I'm using my ATG for the doily, just the center part. And be careful when you do use this on a doily because you can tear it. I already tore one. I actually did tear it and threw it away and did another one. But here I'm using the two-way pen glue or glue pen to adhere the edges down, and works really well with the doily with this paper. As you guys know, if you have any paper doilies, they're super thin. So, and I had to make sure that I was doing one layer. Otherwise, I'll be gluing the bottom layer and the other top will come off. So, gonna add some red sticky tape, and this has a really good stickiness to it. But I end up also using some hot glue around the edges after I glue that or stick this down, just because, just to make sure she's gonna hang it. And I just, want to make sure that everything stays on because it's got this heavy A on there, made out of wood. So, and here's some jute ribbon that I got from Wild Orchid Crafts. They have a bunch of different colors, and I wanted some added texture and color to the A, so I used my little spatula from my glue gun kit and to help me flatten down the glue. So now I'm going to stick down the entire A. I'm just pressing down with my hand. So I added some knots on both ends of the banner and arranging there. And I typically do adhere like the center section and then go off to the sides and adhere the rest of it down. So here's some little circle punches that came off of a edger punch that I did. I was gonna use some trim for the canvas, but when I saw these, I'm like, oh, these are cute. So I just painted the edges just to have it match the A, but I wasn't sure how I was gonna use it yet. So I painted those and then figured out that on the paper doily, there are these little circles around it. And I ended up sticking them down there just halfway though. And it just reminded me of confetti, again with the theme of it being a celebration project. So here's a cutout with the Spellbinders die that I have, and I purposely cut it 3/4 of the way just so that I can string some tulle through, and I wanted to use it alongside of on the edge of the canvas. So I didn't want a full circle. And added some of the same raspberry paint to that. And there's the edge trim that I was going to use, and I just cut a piece off, and I guess I wanted to just layer a couple little things down that were like abnormal type shapes, weren't full shapes or the full piece. So I edged this as well with the white paint, and it just kind of defines this piece on on top of the canvas. So kind of does the same thing with the 3/4 scallop circle with the pink around the edges. And the tulle has a little bow at the very bottom of it. So I brought that all the way over to the edge. So I'm going to use some of the same red sticky tape and peel off the backs and stick that down. It's really good and tacky. So I want to make sure that it was going to hold on the edge there because the tulle kind of gives it a good lift. So I just wanted to make sure that it stuck down. So here's this paper, this 12 by 12 collage of just fun stuff to cut out, and I cut this out of that page, and it was weird because the celebrate on it, of course it went with the theme, and it just had the perfect look of it just bursting through something. So the colors, and because it's her birthday, it just went perfect, and I really liked it. I thought it was cute, but I wasn't sure where I was going to lay it at first. Kind of have to float things around to see where their home should be. So I just left the white border on it and took everything else out. I liked it better on the left, so it's going to stay on the left. And I just used one rosette. Was going to do more, but I didn't want to overwhelm that corner, so that worked well for me. So Just the one. And I had some leftover confetti, quote unquote, and used it for the very top. And this kind of reminded me of like a big flower in a girl's hair. So I really thought it was cute. And added some bling to that and to some of the confettis there on the side. And I got distracted, I think, from something else, and I didn't put them on the bottom, but I add them later on. These little flags I had cut out, and I think that's what I was going to use for the banner, and I didn't. But I wanted to use them as like sun rays or something, so I thought this was cute to just add there. Just, I don't know, as a decorative element, I guess. It worked out fine. So here's some more rosette trim. Again, I didn't know what I was going to do, where I was going to put what. I cut out 4 and took off some of the excess tulle. See, I didn't know where to put it. But then I move it over and voila. That's where I wanted it. So I glued that down. And using some My Road buttons, I used a smaller little button, little bling button, and put it in the center here. And you didn't see me doing this, but at the very, very end, I did add some yellow cherry blossoms to the 4 rosettes at the top and some butterflies that are scattered on the piece. So that's something you can hunt for. Perfect little daisy with some hot pink polka dots. It went well with it, so I grabbed that. Actually, it was sitting in my little scrap dish there on the side. Just added some coordinating colors of roses from All Orchid Crafts. The big one is a 45 millimeter open rose. That one there is a curly rose, the yellow ones. And the little pink ones are wild roses. So I add a couple of them there. And then I found the black roses, the mini roses. Oh my gosh, I went nuts. I'm like, oh, this was the perfect touch. It totally finished it off for me. So I added the baby black roses on the banner by her name and added a couple scattered. One is with the flower clusters on the right side, and then another one is down beneath the celebrate sign there. I'm gluing it down now. I'm trying to figure out where else to put that one, and that's where it ended up, right between the yellow and the pink one. So quick rewind. Before I put the roses down, I cut this little flag out. Didn't know what to do with it, but I liked it. I wanted to use it somewhere, so I'm like, well, where do I put it? After I added the roses, I'm like, oh, the flag. So I sat it down on the top, and that's where it was supposed to be. So I glued that down. Now, those little quarter strips of paper from the very first time I cut the floral paper down are these little streamers I made. I got this idea off of Tiffany, who's Mama Tiffany on YouTube, and she did this awesome layout with these papers sticking out, little strings of papers, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can make streamers out of these. So I did, and perfect colors, perfect length. So I tacked one down there, and here's where I noticed I forgot the other blings at the bottom. But I went to get another strip of paper, or the other one that I left at my cutting station, and curled it and used it for the very top. Kind of arranging it there. See the dimension? Oh, I love how it looks. I'm so in love with that. I'm totally going to do it again. Thank you, Tiffany. So I'm going to glue that down. And I thought I was done, but after doing, all the videos and pictures and stuff, you might be able to see here the butterflies and the cherry blossoms at the top. So this is the finished product. And Alyssa, again, happy birthday. And it looks like she already got it, guys. She sent me a picture. I'll put it on my blog if it's clear enough. But all the links are down below. And thanks so much for watching. And product lists are on my blog. Leave me a comment, you guys. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Jules signing out of the Jule box. Bye.